Good evening. The evening news. I am Maria Ahmed. President Bola Tinubu has stressed the urgent need to take a stronger position within the global energy market and reduce dependency on external pricing. Tinubu stated this while receiving Dangote CEO Alhaji Aliko Dangote at the State House in Abuja for a private meeting. The meeting highlights the federal government's continued support for private sector-led growth in the oil and gas industry. This followed President Tinubu's June visit to the 650,000 barrel per day Dangote refinery and petrochemicals complex in Lagos. Tinubu, via a post on his official X handle, welcomed delegates to the West African Refined Fuel Conference. The president also revealed that Nigeria is collaborating with regional partners to create a unified African energy market, from refining to regulation and trade flows. Alhaji Dangote, who addressed key structural problems affecting refinery development across the continent, noted that besides poor infrastructure, the biggest problem lies in rent-seeking throughout the petroleum value chain across Africa. The federal government said states that opt to reduce electricity tariffs must bear the responsibility for the corresponding subsidy. The Ministry of Power, Mr. Adeleke, said that while it did not intend to control entities with regulatory autonomy, it expects them to consider market realities before deciding on tariff adjustments. Mr. Adeleke noted that the country's electricity economy can no longer sustain indefinite subsidies, which have contributed to a mounting debt of over 4 trillion naira owed to power generation companies. The Special Advisor on Strategic Communications and Media Relations to the Minister of Power, Bolaji Tunji, said if states choose to reduce tariffs, they must be prepared to finance the subsidy resulting from such reductions, rather than adding to the federal government's already heavy subsidy burden. He urged states to assess their fiscal capacity and engage their governors to ensure they can support any subsidized financing arising from the tariff reduction. The Senate has approved the federal government's 2025-2026 external borrowing plan, comprising $21.8 billion and a grant of 65 million euros respectively to fund various projects and programs of the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The Senate also approved the president's request to issue federal government bond in the domestic debt market to settle outstanding pension liabilities in the sum of 757.98 billion naira. Similarly, the Senate approved the request for the capital raising of up to $2 billion in the domestic debt market towards the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order on Foreign Currency Dominated Instruments Local Insurance Program by the Debt Management Office. The requests were considered and passed following the recommendation by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt, chaired by Senator Aliyu Wamako. However, some senators, including Abdul Ninki, raised concerns over the repayment conditions of the loans. Senator Adetokobo Abibu and the Chairman Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, defended the loan, arguing that the conditions were both friendly and flexible. The federal government has declared that there will be no going back on the full transition of the National Examination Council, West African Examinations Council, and other public examination bodies from paper, pencil to computer-based test mode of examination by 2026. Minister of Education, Dr. Olatunji Alausa, stated this during the monitoring of the pilot CBT Senior School Certificate Examination conducted by NECO at Sascon International School, Maitama, Abuja. Reacting to complaints by the public on the lack of adequate infrastructure to support the phasing out of paper pencil examinations, Alausa disclosed that both privately owned CBT centers and those belonging to public institutions would be fully deployed in the conduct of the examinations. The minister, who hailed NECO for the seamless conduct of the pilot phase of the CBT SSC, said that in the future, school-based SSCs would be moved to designated CBT centers rather than being held within schools. He also disclosed a phased rollout of the CBT format across all school examinations, starting with objective questions this year. Registrar of NECO, Professor Ibrahim Wushishi, acknowledged that there were obvious infrastructure challenges, said this would not hamper the council from conducting CBT examinations, stressing that NECO, as a professional examination body, is ready to conduct examinations using any medium. The Southwest Zone of the Environmental Health Officers Association will tomorrow's evening bestow an award on the Director General and Permanent Secretary Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Mrs. Jolade Igbarola. According to a release by the Zonal President Santeria Tope Akekumi, the award is in recognition of our contribution and support to the propagation of environmental health activities in the Southwest. The award ceremony is scheduled to hold at Leisure Spring Hotel, Osun State. And now from sports, Bayana of South African head coach Desiree Ellis has blamed missed chances for our side's loss to the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The defending champions fell to a disappointing 2-1 defeat against the Super Falcons in their semi-final contest at the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations on Tuesday night. Nigeria took the lead through Rasheedat Ajibade, who converted a penalty late in the first half. Linda Mothalo leveled for South Africa from another penalty on the hour mark. South Africa had chances to win the game afterwards, but were let down by their poor finishing. Michelle Alozie broke their hearts with a late winner for Nigeria. Ellis said they were desperate to win the game and claim a second consecutive title. Nigeria will now meet Morocco in the final of the competition, while South Africa will battle the Black Queens of Ghana for third position. And now from the foreign scene, the United Kingdom has sanctioned 25 targets involved in alleged people smuggling, under a new financial sanctions regime targeting those facilitating the travel of refugees and migrants across the English Channel via small boats. The individuals and entities targeted today include a small boat supply in Asia and gang leaders based in the Balkans and North Africa. Middlemen putting cash through the Awala money transfer system in the Middle East, which is used in payments linked to channel crossings, are also targeted. It is unclear how effective the new sanctions regime will be, since British authorities can only freeze assets that are in the UK, and most of the smugglers are based elsewhere. The Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, said that it was a landmark moment in the government's work to tackle organized immigration crime and reduce irregular migration to the UK. The move follows legislation being introduced under the Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill to ramp up enforcement powers for police forces and partners to investigate and prosecute people smugglers. That ends the evening news on OSBC TV. Join us at 7 for the major reports. Thanks for watching. Good evening.